Okay. Let's take a look at this one first. So we've got a thread by the Vigilant Fox on X. RFK Jr. just blew the lid off of one of the food industry's dirtiest secrets. What he told his team before facing the food execs left his entire Dude, these like threads always sound exactly like this. Like, just what he found out left everybody stunned. If you watch One Thing Today, Make It This Moment, MAHA just leveled up. Okay, I actually saw this, but I waited before I looked into it. So let's take a look. So what happened? You're witnessing history as MAHA goes from vision to reality. Now onto the clips. It started with an announcement that would change everything from the podium at HHS headquarters. FDA Commissioner Marty Makary made it official. The United States will officially phase out petroleum-based food dyes by the end of next year. Policy many thought was impossible, now etched into history. And for the MAHA movement, it's a defining victory. Makary stepped forward with a dose of honesty that's been missing in public health for decades. There is no one ingredient that accounts for the child chronic disease epidemic. And let's be honest, taking petroleum-based food dyes out of the food supply is not a silver bullet that will instantly make America's children healthy. But it's an important step. He didn't sugarcoat the crisis. The administration is not interested in continuing down the path of doing the same old things. Why don't we watch this first? Let's just watch this real quick.
No one ingredient that accounts for the child chronic disease epidemic. And let's be honest, taking petroleum-based food dyes out of the food supply is not a silver bullet that will instantly make America's children healthy. But it is one important step. This administration is not interested in continuing down the path of doing the same old things as we watch our nation's children get sicker.
I don't know how you could be against this. At least in terms of let's find out what's going on and if it's okay. I don't understand.
We need fresh new approaches. Cancer and diabetes in young people is going up at an alarming rate, and nobody seems to know why. We have to turn our attention to underlying causes such as chemicals and toxins that children are exposed to, not just more insulin and chemotherapy. And let's not forget that the best way to lower drug prices is to stop taking drugs we don't need. 30 states concerned about this very issue have introduced bills or laws with a patchwork of standards for food companies. So the food industry, which has many good people, has asked for clarity. So today, the FDA is taking the following steps. Number one, establishing a national standard and timeline for the food industry to transition from petroleum-based food dyes to natural alternatives. Number two, initiating a process to revoke authorization.
Isn't a lot of the food dyes like byproducts of other things? Like as in like the food dye is basically a waste product of it's a waste product of a different manufacturing process. And it's like, how can we monetize the waste product? And then that's how a lot of them came to be. Like I think yellow was like that specifically, right?
Synthetic food colorings, including those not in production, namely citrus red number 2 and orange B, within the coming weeks. Number 3, taking steps to eliminate the remaining 6 synthetic dyes on the market from the U.S. food supply. Specifically, red dye number 40, yellow dye number 5, yellow dye number 6, blue dye number 1, blue dye number 2, and green dye number 3 by the end of next year.
What about my green eggs and ham? How can I make that? Without the dye. Did you guys ever make green eggs and ham when you were a kid? And that's when the man himself, Secretary Robert Kennedy, took the stage. Okay.
ADHD, the neurological disorders had chronic disease. Today it's around 60%. And these are a broad category. The ones that Marty mentioned, like ADHD, the neurological disorders, ADD, ADHD, speech delay, language delay, tics, Tourette syndrome, narcolepsy, ASD, and autism. All of these are injuries that I never heard of when I was a kid. They were not part of the nomenclature. They weren't part of the dialogue. There was
I knew it,
zero
guys.
spent in this
It's
country
all government's fault.
treating chronic
That's
disease
why I'm like
when my
this.
uncle's president. Today it's about $1.8 trillion annually. It's bankrupting our nation. 74% of American kids cannot qualify for military service. Oh, how are we going to maintain our global leadership with such a sick population? We have all these autoimmune diseases, these exotic diseases. And again, I never heard of juvenile diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, Crohn's disease, and 100 others that were just unknown when I was a kid. I never knew anybody with a peanut allergy. I never knew anybody with a food allergy. Why do 5 of my 7 kids have allergies?
All right, here we go. We got
So about a month ago. And when I went in a few months or about a month ago to meet with a few food companies, I was talking with my staff about these petroleum-based dyes. And I said, if they want to add petroleum, if they want to eat petroleum, they ought to add it themselves at home. But they shouldn't be feeding it to the rest of us. And without our knowledge or consent. And unfortunately, we're going to get rid of the dyes, and then one by one, we're going to get rid of every ingredient and additive in food that we can legally address. And when I went in a few months or about a month ago.
Well, the thing is, a lot of it too is like for aesthetic reasons, right? Like it doesn't actually add anything in terms of like nutrition. They're just being added just to make it look different. So it's kind of like, do you really need that if it has the possibility of having all of these issues, right?
Stop. It's the time to redouble your efforts because we have them on the run.
It's basically like a freaking profit incentive, right? Farah, thank you so much. Thank you, Farah. Thank you so much for the resub. Thank you. Thank you for your 60, man. Thank you. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you, Shago. Thank you for the bits as well. Thank you. They're putting chemicals in the water. I'm treating the kids autistic.
Now, and we are going to win this battle. And 4 years from now, we're going to have most of these products off the market, or you will know about them when you go in the grocery store. So I want to thank you. And finally, and most importantly, I want to thank President Trump. President Trump often, says that he's going to make America great again. But he knows that he cannot make our country great again if our country is weak, if we're not healthy, if we don't have vigor, if we're not a robust people. He says that he's going to restore the American dream. And a healthy person has 1,000 dreams. The sick person only has one. And right now, there's 60% of the people in this country who have only one dream, that they can make it through a day without pain, with energy, without having to take medications. And we are going to change that for our country. And I want to thank the moms and thank President Trump for his confidence in my leadership and for allowing me to surround myself with such an extraordinary team of scientists who are going to restore transparency to this agency. We're going to do replicated science.
I don't see anything wrong with this. It's just like more transparency. Like if this stuff is in the products, like you'd know about it, or you at least can be informed of like the negative effects that it could possibly have. Thank you for the bit, Sturper. Next step is to fry in either coconut oil or animal fat. Make the carnivore diet not probably by giving it a real double-blind study. Yeah, I mean, I think just in general, like more research would be good into like what's actually good for us, versus like, I mean, because it's obvious like what we have right now is not helping, right? It doesn't work. So maybe we could try to find out more about it, and what's wrong with that, right? Like what could possibly be the harm of trying to figure out what's actually healthier for us? I guess the only thing is like you could say is maybe people will freak out if they find out that like eating a lot of grains is bad for you or something like that, because like that's kind of how you keep a lot of people fed, because it's relatively cheap to produce. But And I guess it could be embarrassed of like saying that all of these things are good for you and then like finding out it's actually really not good for you. But I mean, this has happened several times throughout history, right? Where they've said a thing isn't good for you and ends up actually being really bad. They say a certain thing is good for you and ends up being like actually really bad for you. They've already done this before with many things. I mean, they did this with tetraethyl lead. They did this with trans fats is like another like big example where they were kind of trying to push trans fats onto people, and then it turns out, oh, it's not good for us. Right? Turns out killed a lot of people. Oops. And that might be what they're trying to avoid. It's like the only thing I can think of, really.
We're going to restore gold standard science so we know what's in our food and we can eliminate it. Thank you all very much.
Looks like that's it from it, but it would be pretty huge if we actually do get a bunch of the stuff at the very minimum looked into, right? I'll link you guys the thread if you guys want to read through it. How many times has a glass of wine been flipped on being good or bad? Yeah, tons of times. Right now, I think they say that red wine is good for you right now. We also need to rework school lunch programs. It's absolute garbage. You know, I remember when I was a kid, it was kind of shit. Like honestly, like the school lunches were pretty shit. I remember we had like pizza, and the pizza was like. The sad thing is I think about that pizza now, and like I kind of want it. I kind of want to try it again, but I know it's not great. It was literally like a foil tray with like a pizza, like a greasy fucking pizza in it, right? You eat that. I can. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna think about like what was like an average week like. What was an average week? Okay. Pizza in a tray, pepperoni pizza in a tray with like the little square pepperonis, little square cut pepperonis in a tray, super greasy, and it was like milk or it was just milk actually. They didn't. That's all they gave you to drink was fucking milk, chocolate milk actually, chocolate milk. You got chocolate milk on some days, and then and then they gave you like an apple, but like no one fucking ate like the apple. They give you like an apple or a banana, like basically barely anyone ate it. But yeah, so one day would be like pizza, the next day would be like a hamburger, but it was like nasty. It was like a steamed hamburger almost, and it had like these fries that were disgusting and soggy. And then chicken patty, which was just like a chicken sandwich, is just like those like chicken rib patty like breaded rib patty. Then like bean and cheese burrito, which was just like a burrito. It's just bean and cheese burrito, kind of like basic. And then let's see, what else do we have? Nuggets, chicken nuggets, like freaking dino nuggets, dino chicken nuggets. And they came in like a little foil tray. Like you'd get like a little foil tray with like a foil sheet on top of it. Yeah, and that's kind of what we ate. I'm thinking like what else was on there. That's like kind of it. I'm trying to think like what else did we eat? Because that was like kind of it. And then I remembered like when I was in middle school, it was like more of like a cafeteria sort of thing. So when I was like in elementary school, you would go to like the cafeteria, you'd sit down, and then they would just have like a cart that had like trays of food, and you didn't get to pick. It was like you were not picky in elementary school. It was like you sit down, they walk up and they give you the thing, right? Thank you for the bits, Drip. Thank you. They give you the freaking food on a tray. They just give it to you, and then you just eat it, like whatever it is. Like you didn't have a choice. Then in middle school, you went to like an actual window where you could pick what you wanted. They had like hamburger, tater tots, and they were always like kind of really soggy. Like everything was kind of soggy. But they had pizza, salads, and then like croissant, like ham and cheese croissants and stuff like that. Like that was like it. And then in high school, it was like more of the same, but the food was better. So like they had like fish, like fish and chips, chili, sloppy joes, like that kind of stuff. And it was okay. Wasn't like the best. But like once you got to middle school, it was like you actually got to pick what you ate. Our food was so dog shit in high school that they just get big ass salad with ham strips on it. Oh yeah, I remember that. Chef salad is what they called it. Chef salad. But yeah, I mean, if you consider like kind of what they have for school lunches in like Japan, for instance, like it's really bad what kids eat right now in school. And it's like, I don't know, it's like they try to make like the healthiest version of it, but it's like still not great, right?